Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Hearts where we deep dive into real conversation. We explore raw emotions and we overcome. My name is Lakeisha Lockridge. I am your host of Let's Talk Grief. And it's been a minute since I've been with y'all, so I'm excited about tonight. I could not let tonight pass without me interviewing a group of guys who are very near and dear to me. They have worked on the project called Men Grieve Too, and I've been expecting and just anticipating this project. So, of course, I had to bring the show back for this night alone. But without further ado, I'll start introducing the guys to you. And I want to start with the one of the co-authors. His name is Will.
Hello, how everybody doing? How are you this evening? Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain.
Awesome.
I am good.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the platform tonight to talk about your journey with the process of writing Me and Greed Too, talking about your chapter. I'm just excited to get to know you guys more and to just deep dive into this book. I want everybody to go and support this project because this is one for the books for sure. But I don't like to do the introductories because I want the people to know you for who you are and who you see yourself as. So tell the world who you are.
Well, I'm Will Reeves from right here out of Virginia. I'm born in Richmond, Virginia, but raised most of my life in Petersburg, Virginia. Then I moved back to Richmond, where I reside at right now. Um, I got four more children. I'm singles, and I work for Lego Group, and I just stay to myself. I stay in my own lane, you know, stay in all lanes, my financial, physical, all to myself. I don't get in other people's way. I just do my thing and focus. Try to focus on things. And when I got the opportunity to be presented with this book, the idea of doing this book, I was like, at first it was like I thought about like I don't know. Then I thought about I said, you know what? Who know more about grief than me? And I said, instead of me holding it in, I said, I might as well write about it. I ain't talked about it. So it was just a relief for me to finally get it out of what I was going through and what I was feeling. And even my mom didn't even know. She said she had an idea of what I was going through. She said, but she just didn't know it. She just had an idea. And I was like, well, Mom, I never talked to you about it. I never expressed it to you. I said, I didn't express it to anyone. I said, so you didn't know. I said, you didn't know how they talked to me because you didn't been in this situation. You don't know about losing a son or something like that. So I said, you don't know, Mom. So I didn't expect you to know. I didn't ask nobody. I just held it all. And then, so this is a good way for people that don't understand what men go through. Well, now you get a chance to see different versions of what men go through when they don't say a word. You'll know by their actions or by
Yeah.
their walk, by their talk, things that they do, their reaction. You'll probably see something in person and you'll notice it and say, you know what? I think my cousin going through that or my brother going because you'll notice a similarity. It's like people just gotta open the book and find out exactly what men really think and how they really feel. So that's all we're doing. Getting you a inside
Absolutely.
look. That's
Yes,
it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because you are absolutely right. Men are, by society standards, they feel that they are not allowed to grieve. And man, that alone is very detrimental to our community,
Oh yeah.
our men, our family dynamics as a whole. Y'all got to be able to get it out too. So this project was right on time, and I'm just so grateful that you men were so courageous enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna share my story. So I'm excited to read it myself. I really am. So I'm gonna bring some of your co-authors up that are with us so that they can introduce themselves. And I think I'm gonna start with Damon.
Actually, it's Damon, but I've been called worse. So,
Correct me now. Okay, Damon.
but yeah. My name's Damon Hurd. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. Been living in the South for like the last close to 20 years now. Originally moved to Augusta, Georgia, then to Charlotte, North Carolina, and recently, with me remarrying, I moved to Columbia, South Carolina. So, as far as occupational wise, majority of my life I've spent working in the service industry, whether it be retail. Right now, I'm in hospitality, working in management. I've been managing hotels for close to 12 years. So that's occupational wise. As far as this opportunity with the book, um, this is actually this is the second book I was connected to. I was sharing earlier. Me and my new wife, we wrote a book a year ago called Pathways. The interesting story with us is that we were both widows, which was kind of wild when we met each other. That was one of the things that we had in common is that she lost her husband close to about 10 years ago, and I had lost my wife a couple years prior. And so, with us having a similar background, we were able to connect uh, in a closer way because we kind of understood each other's pain in essence. So, after we got married, we ended up writing the book together and sharing just part of our story, as well as just some things that we've personally done to get through the process of grief, the journey, the healing process. And the book itself is not just strictly about losing a spouse, it could be losing a loved one, losing a relationship, losing a
Mhm.
job, anything that you may hold dear to you. Um, it's just like some points to get through, so to kind of get you through the process. So, but then um, uh, we know Jay Lewis commonly, and I was he introduced me to this opportunity to write on this book, this anthology. I was actually in the process of writing a second my next book, which is kind of like the story of me and my son going through our grief process after losing my late wife. So when this opportunity came about, I said, okay, I can definitely connect some of the material that I have in that upcoming book to this. And again, it's more to help people through the process. So I think on my chapter, I talk about the three dimensions of loss, which are grief, anger, and guilt, um, and just kind of
Mhm.
walk through those process. I mean, that information, mainly based off of my past experience, and I think that's about it.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You spoke on, a different aspect of grief. I myself have experienced grief on different levels as well, so I can kind of relate on that factor because I didn't lose we wasn't married at the time, but he was my fiance, so we were heading in that direction, and
Mhm.
so I kind of can relate to you on that. So I'm just excited to read everyone's chapters because you guys have really put it out there. Like y'all laid it on the line. Y'all were very vulnerable. And a lot of people feel like that, men can't be vulnerable, but that's what makes a man whole when he's able to, operate in his masculine, but also be able to be vulnerable and express his feelings. Like that's a whole man. That's not a
Mhm.
boy, that's a man. So
Right.
I'm just excited overall, but we got one more person back here in the cut, and his name is DeQuincy. And I want to give him the
Yeah.
opportunity to come on and talk as well. So, DeQuincy, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good. Good evening, everybody. My name is Louis DeQuincy Guest, originally from Columbia, South Carolina. Um, I met Lakeisha when she posted on Facebook about this opportunity. Wasn't sure if I was gonna do it, but a side conversation with Angela kind of pushed me in the direction to go ahead and step out there and tell my story. And my story is a little different. Grief for me wasn't losing somebody at first. It was being a child and my parents divorcing and having to navigate through life after that, being sent to live with my grandparents and just going through the different aspects of recovering from that situation and how it affected me growing up and even in different relationships and trying to be a parent. So my thing, my reason for working on this book is like I said in the last interview is I just want men to know it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay. You have to express it, talk about it. Don't carry the toxic masculinity around. Like you say, Lakeisha, be vulnerable because that makes you a whole man when you can say, hey, this hurt, that made me feel this kind of way. So that was my motivation for telling my story in this book.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So throughout this
It's
writing
okay to not
journey,
be
you
okay,
guys,
but it's not okay to stay.
absolutely. Um, so throughout this writing journey, you guys, how has your grief process evolved from telling your story, from being able to um let it out? For me personally, the pen and paper is therapeutic to me. Being able to get it out because I don't feel like I'm able to express myself the way um that I would desire in this world. So a lot of times I do go to my pen and my paper to be able to get it off of my chest. So how do you feel like your grief journey evolved? Did it provide you some healing? Did it, pull the band-aids off some old wounds? Was it some triggers that, you feel like you needed to go and readdress? Like, what was that
Mhm.
process of writing this for you?
Who want to go for it? Okay,
And
Oh, it's a
I'll
full
jump
free
out there.
flow now. Come
go
on.
ahead.
So, for me, it did a little bit of everything that you just said. Um, it was healing. It pulled some band-aids off. It reminded me of some things that I had forgotten. Especially with me writing the book, the full story. It was time. The book that I just finished took me about a year to write. And the reason why it took a year, it's actually not a very long book, but the reason why it took me a year to write is because there would be points of the story and I would remember certain things. And in my grief process, I would have to just stop and not and I wasn't able to write because I actually had to kind of remember some things, heal from some things. There'd be times where I would be writing and I'm writing strong, and then I would hit a part of the story and I would stop writing for like a month just because I had to acknowledge that I was still healing in certain places from the story. And then I would start writing again and writing again. And then same thing would happen. I would hit a certain part and I would end up having to stop in it. So it was healing to kind of get the story out, but it did open up some wounds. It reopened some wounds that hadn't truly I won't say weren't truly healed, but I'll have to say, yeah, that weren't truly healed. That were if you want to use it in a medical term, it was if you if you're saying you're supposed to heal from something in 4 to 6 weeks, I was still at week 3 and didn't realize I was at week 3. So
I love it that you can put a title on it, or a time frame with it, to say, okay, measuring your process in your journey. Like, I love that you said week 3, so okay, yeah, I'm at week 3, but I need to get to week 6. So let me do, what I need to do to get there. I love that. I love that. I'm ready to hear from either one of you, the Quincy or Mr. Will. Come on.
Well, for me, I when I wrote this, it was hard getting through it, but afterwards, I mean, I just now it's like it's I can't get it off my mind now. It's like I'm still trying to work through my telling people about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to promote the book, so I got to always tell people what it's about, what the book about. I'm like it's different story from different guys that's telling you how they dealt with grief. I said, and they were like, what about? I said, yeah, mine's in there too. And one lady asked me is it, is it fiction? I said, no, 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 no. This is ain't nothing. This is all factual. Ain't no nonfiction in here. This is all real. We feel this. We ain't nobody add nothing to it. No sugarcoating it. We come straight to you, straight what we felt. At that moment, at that time, this was our thoughts. I said, so I said, a lot of people don't know this about me or what I was going through, but I said, now it's all out there. You're going to know it now, you know. It's like, but, people, people hear about a book, they think that it's a book that you just, made up something to write about. But nah, I wish it was something that I could just write. It's like a script and then just like let it go and be refreshed again and do it now. But this is, ain't no retakes in this book. It is all one thing, and it all happened to everybody. And it was, we wish we could turn the page, and it was something that we could wake up from and say, "Oh, that was a take one. Let's go and shoot it over." No, you can't do it. Ain't no retakes. No, it was done, and we got through it the hardest way we know how. But we made it. God got us around for something. So we evidently this putting it out there is meant for somebody. If it don't help but one person, I know I did justice for one thing. I got one person. It ain't got to change a million lives. All it got to affect is one life. And that could, what I'm saying?
There
Save
you go.
one person at a time. That's all we ask for. That's it. Ain't looking
That's
for
it.
no,
That's all.
ain't nobody looking for no glamour awards. We just trying to put the word out there for other men can just say, hey, you know what? I should talk about mine more. You know what I'm feeling. Because I guarantee you, half the men around the world, people really don't ask them how they feel. They just see them and think that everything okay. But some guys hurting and people don't even know it. They put on a good front,
Yeah.
but that's the way life goes.
And pressure bust pipes. We know
Because
that.
guys, a lot of guys, like people wonder why a lot of guys be like out there. You see a guy that's arguing and they really fight, but then one guy want to pull out a gun. You wonder why? Because they so embarrassed of feeling down or getting hurt or somebody posting it that they rather feel like they think they're a man by pulling out a gun, but you're a weaker man because you pulled out a gun when the other guy had his fist. He was giving you a fair fight. You made it an unfair fight. So it's just like this book. We giving people a fair fight of showing their feelings. Don't worry about how you gonna look. Just talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Just talk about how you feel. Get it off your chest. Because I tell you, holding in and trying to fight through it yourself, it ain't good. I can tell you that. It ain't gonna lead to no goodness for you. You're gonna suffer longer than you
I
think
know,
you will. So that's what I'm
I know
trying to
that's
do. Just
right.
work through it. Just working through it. Every day I'm just working through it.
I love that. Look, you said a mouthful there. Look, Angela on here like, speak the truth, Will.
That's all I can
But
do,
you said
Angela,
a
is speak the truth.
mouthful.
That's
Yes, you
all I
said a
can do.
mouthful. And pressure does bust pipes. The men gotta have an outlet too. I agree with that wholeheartedly. The Quincy, you want to chime in and give us
Yeah,
your thoughts?
yeah. I mean, writing from a perspective of having to go back and relive. something that happened so many years ago. It did open up some scars, but it brought me closure because
Yeah.
I had to look back at my life and see, just how blessed I truly was, even though that situation occurred when I was a child and I didn't understand everything that was going on at the time. And I let it affect relationships growing up. But you look back once you get through it and once you're able to get to a point where we can talk about it, you don't know how your story can help somebody else. You don't know how you sharing, what you've been through can be the turning factor in whether somebody finds closure with their situation or they do something that they'll regret if they live to regret it. So
Mm,
Mhm.
I just wanted to, like Will said, if I only help one person, I help somebody.
exactly.
So it's not about the fame or the having your name out there. It's about having your story out there, having
That's
something tangible that a man that's going through something can pick up and read and say, "Hey, these guys made it through. I can make it through."
yes. That's it there. I love the fact that you spoke on the closure part, because I can speak from that as well. Losing my brothers, my siblings hit me really hard. It was a year apart. And the last book that I wrote is called Love Language of Grief. And it gave me a sense of closure, where I couldn't function on a day-to-day basis before I published this book, before I wrote that story. Um, Now I'm able to go on and live my life. I'll never forget my brothers, and I will always love my brothers, and I will always keep their memories alive. But now I'm able to function again in life. So it did bring me a sense of closure. But not only that, someone can read my story just as well as yours and say, you know what, this is exactly what I'm going through. And it gives them a way to cope and overcome. So I love that you spoke on the closure and how it comes full circle to Quincy. I love that. So when it comes down to family support, guys, um, what role did your support system, your family, your friends, your community play in your grieving process?
Well, I can tell you right now,
What was that?
I didn't give nobody, and nobody really came around. The only my aunt Maggie, she came around, during the time because she used to always check on me and come make sure I eat because you know that she knew what I was going through, so she used to come around and make sure I eat. My mom used to come around, call, but nobody knew nobody couldn't go through the grief with me or function with it because I never talked about it. They didn't know nothing. They just, when they come by, I'll be like, hey, and they'll speak to them and they'll be like, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, I'm okay. But I wouldn't express to them what I was actually going through, so they didn't know. So it was all a shock. I told you, my mom ain't know till she read the book, So she
Mhm.
was totally shocked and just was like, my sister-in-law read it and she was like, wow, bro, what she was like, you came a long way. She was like, what you been through? I said, yeah, well, And then she was like, she told me she cried. And I was like, well, at least you cried. You got a reaction out of our story. I said, hopefully, you get it out all the stories, you know what I'm saying, when you finish reading the whole book. But yeah, it's like, because nobody knew. It's like see, I've been a solo guy. I just been the only person I hung with is like I tell in the book. The only person I really hung with was my cousin, my best friend. That's it. I had friends, but I didn't roll with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't family, I really didn't roll with a lot of people. I had a lot of friends, but I only had certain circle of friends that I hung with, and that was family. But the friends that God introduced me to later, like Angela and my friend Monica and Tony, all of them, you know, they a whole different breed of type of friends. You know what I'm saying? Type of friends that I didn't think.
Mm-hmm.
Now with them, I could express feelings and they could talk to me about it or pray with me about it and stuff like that, encourage me. But I didn't have friends like that at first. Like my cousin now, he would have done that. He would have been like encouraged me and got me through it, but he wasn't able to be around at that time when I was going through it and people understand when they read the book why. But yeah, so it's like nobody knew, not even my children knew, you know. I know that they was fighting the grief monster itself, but they were dealing with it and I couldn't even help them through it because I was a wreck, what I'm saying? I was in lost land, Didn't know I was in lost land, but that's where I was at. I was in a land of my own, just trying my best to get through it. What I thought I was doing right, but I was just in this whole different world where it's just the grief monster that I didn't even know
Oh
existed
yes.
right there, holding me, saying, "Yeah, you got it," knowing I ain't have it. You know what I'm saying? He was just walking me deeper and deeper into a pit, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell nobody, so it wasn't nobody to help me through it because I just had to walk through it until God pulled me out of it. He saw a way to get me out of it, and I just took this first step through the door to go through it, and that was the starting point. I still go through the grief. I just don't walk back down that alley or that dark alley no more. I don't seep back into that part of life no more. I try to stay on the path that I'm going because I ain't trying to go down that road again. You know what I'm saying? That was hard. It was real hard. It's still hard now, but it's way better than what I was going through. So I didn't have
Yes.
no help through it. I when God said I had enough, he gave me a light and said, open the door and just see was I gonna stay in that pit or was I gonna walk through the door? I just walked out the door. That
Yeah.
was it. That what took it. It's just walking through a door.
Yeah. I love it. I can relate to you so much on that because I've always been the strong one. So everybody think that I know how to just handle and come out. And I went through a sunken place, and I didn't know how to express it to anybody. My only response was, "I'm okay," and I was not okay. I was not okay. My children, they were going through their own grief as well, and I didn't even know how to. I knew how to function that what they call it, functional depression.
Yeah.
I lived it. Like I went to work. I did everything I was supposed to do as a mother and as a woman, but I was done on the inside. Like and I laughed when you spoke about your aunts feeding you because that's what people do. They don't know how to ask you in the way without they walk on eggshells with you pretty much,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
what
just assume this is gonna help. So a woman, anyway, a black woman, I'm gonna say it, we gonna feed you. So
yeah,
we think food make it all better. So I started to laugh,
yeah.
but she her heart was in the right place, but she wanted to
Yeah,
be
that
there,
was
she just didn't know how
yeah,
to
that
be
was her
there.
way of checking on me. Being that
Hmm.
her son, she know that her son, my best friend, being that he couldn't be there.
Yeah.
So she made sure she came back. She just used food as, to say that was her reason to come back. But actually I know what it was. You know,
Yeah.
I knew she was coming to just check on me, see how I'm doing, and make sure, letting me know that she's there. I just didn't know how to express myself too much. Because my auntie was actually the one with me when I found out. She was the first one I called
Hmm.
when I got the call. You know what I'm saying? So she was with
Hmm.
me when I found out everything. So, so it's like I knew why she was coming by, but I just know what I'm saying. I just know that, I knew what it was, but I know she just didn't know how to ask a question or what to say.
Right.
So she just brung the food just to say, just to peek in to see is I'm okay. And mainly I think she wanted to see was my house clean, was did I have stuff thrown everywhere. I think that was mostly what she was doing, just checking in on me to make sure the house was good. Yeah, downstairs looked great, but she would have went in my room there. She might would have had a different story because it was stuff thrown everywhere up there. But it was like, I dealt with it, and then I kept things neat downstairs and all that. But my room, I just that's why I put everything. I wash clothes and then I just throw them on the bed and don't really fold them. Stuff like that. It was like blankets washed but unfolded. Not put away. So everything was just in my room, on my couch, in my room, or on the bed, and it was like I just was like, I get it later. It was just I ain't really even think about it. It was like my mind won't even focus on it. I go through, do stuff, but I would never finish nothing. You know what I'm saying? I wash the clothes, but I wouldn't fold them or put them away. I wash the dishes, put them in the drain, but don't put them away. It's just like that. And then I didn't cook, so that's good that she brought food because I stopped cooking. I just order out or I just won't eat. But that was a good thing. So it was like,
well, that's what Angela said. People associate food with comfort. So
it was all good.
we do. We associate food with comfort. But we gotta shout out Auntie. Tell her next time she dropping out plates, I'll accept one.
Hey, I will tell her, and I'm gonna tell her
because I love to eat too.
When you get one of my auntie plates, I'm gonna tell you, you gonna want another plate. You ain't gonna just want one. You gonna want a plate to eat, and you gonna be like, "Can I get one for the go?" Because auntie throw down, man. I'm trying to tell you. When you get them like barbecue ribs or something like that, they just add right on out, So I love calling auntie, be like, "Hey, you think you can cook me some ribs?" So, hey, my family cook like that. I'm trying to tell you, they get it in. So you come to one of my family reunions or family cookout, be ready to eat because they gonna have food for you. Hey, your appetite.
Well, next family reunion, I need my invite.
You got it. I give it to you now. You can be invited right now. We don't mind. Everybody can come to our family reunion. Just bring your appetite.
We gonna get up and get on comfort food.
Yeah, bring your appetite because they're gonna feed you. You best believe that they're gonna feed you. If ain't nothing else they're gonna do, they're gonna feed you. And if you drink, they're gonna give you plenty of drinks. See me, I don't drink, so I don't worry about it. They be thinking I'm all right because I'll drink a soda or some water. I told them I don't drink water. They think I'm playing. They already think I ain't part of the family because I don't eat fish. Yeah, because I don't really eat fish. So they be like, "You sure you part of our family?" I be like, "Yeah, I'm part of the family." I mean,
I want to know where you come from too. It ain't eat no fish at the fish fry.
I found out my dad don't eat fish, so that's why I never really had the taste for fish. And I used to cry when I was little when my grandma used to make me eat fish. So, and I just sit at the table just looking at the food. She'd be like, "You ain't getting up from the table till you eat it." And I just be mad, man, because I really ain't like it. Now I'm starting to get to the point where I say, well, every month I say I'll try to get fish in my diet twice a month at least. But I just got to get used to it. I just ain't used to eating fish. It just ain't one of my things.
Well, you put me and Angela on the list of invitations because she said she coming too. So we coming together.
Most definitely. I will have. I'm telling you, I will have a special place for y'all to sit for y'all, and I'll bring the food to y'all. I'll bring it to you.
Appreciate it.
Bring the food to you. Then after you finish food, I'll bring you the dessert.
Hey, we gonna hold you to that.
Hey, because I got one auntie that's, I'm gonna tell you, she's the pie and cake king. I mean, queen of all that. She can make all that. That's all she'd make every year. Everybody call her phone to place orders for cakes or pies. And you got to get in early because when she get enough orders, she's gonna say, I ain't got enough time. I ain't gonna have no time to do it. So you got to get it in early during them holidays, or you're gonna be cut short.
You got to get in where you fit in for sure.
Yeah, you got to.
Damon, I want to give you the same opportunity to, speak up upon your family support through your grief process.
Well,
How did you interact with your
well,
support system through your grief process?
well, the thing with me in this process was that me and my late wife, we were married for about 10 years. So uh my family knew her and loved her. She had a great relationship with my mom and my stepfather and everything like that. As well as both of us were not originally from Charlotte. Actually, both of us were originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. That's a whole different story on how we connected, being away from Cincinnati and everything like that. But so with us being here, we also had what we called our village, which were just friends that we had accumulated throughout our time of living in Charlotte. So I will say that I was blessed that I had a village that did circle around me and my son uh, when we were going through our process. My family did come in town. Like the week it happened, my mom and my older cousin came down and spent time with us just to make sure we were okay. Um, excuse me. But and I think somebody mentioned it earlier. Um, even with the support, there was some walking on eggshells because not many people knew how to deal with the situation. You don't, it's kind of hard for you to approach someone who just lost their wife or their husband because you don't have a frame of reference. You want to you want to say the right thing and everything like that, but sometimes you just don't know what the right thing is. And I had a couple of conversations with friends where it seemed like uh, they were handling me with kid gloves. And I told them, I was like, look, the best way for me to get back to me being me is y'all treat me how y'all treated me before. Don't
Mhm.
treat me like I'm broken. Don't treat me like I'm delicate. Treat me like I'm Damon. That's what's going to help me come back from this. Being treated like I'm delicate and everything like that is not going to help me. It just wouldn't, and that worked for me. I can't say that'll work for everybody. Some people may want to be, um, coddled and stuff like that. I was like, look, for me to be me, I need you to treat me like you treated me before. Yes, this is a terrible
Mhm.
situation. I just lost my wife. My son just lost his mother. My son's 10 years old. Well, he was 10 years old at the time. He just lost. We're going through it, yes, but we still need to be treated like we're people versus being treated like with kid gloves and everything like that. So, and I mean,
Mhm.
I would definitely say I was blessed to have people come around me, even people from church. Uh, I had, we had a lot of people coming in and out. It's funny. I write about it in the book that's coming out. Even an ex-girlfriend of mine, and not that she was trying. We were trying to get back together, and she's married, moved on, and everything like that. But I would have to say, outside of my late wife, she was the longest relationship I had ever had. So she even reached out to me and was checking on me and stuff like that from time to time. I was, with her husband's permission, because I ain't trying to mess up nobody else's house and nothing like that. But it was just a matter of the fact that she thought enough to just reach out, um, to check in, to see how we were doing, uh, offering some words of encouragement, offering prayer, stuff like that. So I will definitely say that we were blessed to have people come around us, and it's on both sides of the family, even my late wife's family too. Um, Everybody kind of came around us because, and I say this, that was Mona was that conduit with people. My late wife, that's her name, is Mona. She had that ability to bring people together. Um, we nicknamed her Mama Mona. We nicknamed her Sugar Mama. She just had that personality to bring people together. So when she passed, everybody took on that same persona for us, I'll say. And I even, I said it when we had her memorial service. Um, I said it then, and I said where I was trying to figure out, I was trying to wrap my brain around why, because of a person like this that everybody loved and stuff like that, why was she taken away? And I'm a Christian, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and a revelation came out of that conversation where um, it basically came out saying, well, she did her job. Her purpose in life was to bring people together, was to have people show love to each other, to build people and love on people. Well, her assignment was complete. Now, the way she passed was
Mhm.
very unexpected because she passed from COVID, but her assignment was complete. And God said, well done, my good and faithful servant. It's time for you to go. Now, it sucks for us. And I said this in the middle of the service. I
Mhm.
was like, it sucks for us because we are still here and we have this hole that's missing, which was her, because she was pretty much kind of like the heart of our collective. But sh- she did what she was supposed to do. And the people that
Yes.
came around because of who she was to them showed the same love to us as she showed to them when she walked the earth. So it
Mhm.
that's how we looked at it. And again, I will always say I was blessed with that. I had a whole chapter in the book coming out that talks about our village, um, and what everybody did to support us and everything like that. So
Yes, I love it. You, Mona, she served a purpose, here on this earth, and she'll forever be with you. So I thank you for sharing that. But also, you touched on something. You stated that you wanted people to deal with you as they would have dealt with you before you went through what you went through. And I can relate to that. But my pet peeve was everybody comes with the cliche responses, and that was my biggest pet peeve. Just come over here,
mm,
sit down, have a seat, don't say nothing, because don't let what's about to slip off your lips come out to me. It was a big pet peeve for
our-
those cliche statements. God don't make no mistakes, and
right,
they in a better place, and I get that.
mm,
But now is
mhm,
not the time. Like,
right.
and I know
I
this
don't want to hear
bleed
that right now.
love, but I don't want to hear that right now. Like, leave me alone. Just come on over here, grab a piece of
Yeah,
chicken, because everybody gonna bring you some chicken
right,
and
right.
and have a
There was
seat. So
there's a part, and I mentioned this too. There's a part where a good friend of mine, Damon Austin, he was one of the first people that came over to my house when the word got out, and he was, speaking to me, and and I remember he would talk, and he was trying to do his best in that particular situation, and at the same time, I remember I was ordering some food because when when she passed, You know, we came back from the hospital, came home, nothing was there because we've been dealing with that. So I'm on DoorDash, you know, ordering stuff, and I picked a restaurant that we had been to multiple times, and I ordered what I normally get. I ordered what Gideon, my son, normally get, and then I had to pause because this was the first time that I was going to order from that restaurant and not order for her. And I said to him as he was talking to me, I was like, "Look, man, I mean, you're talking about," and what he was talking about was good, and it was. But I was like, "Man, I'm just trying to get through right now, being able to order some food and not break down." Because that was that first moment where I realized I don't have to order food for Mona anymore because she's not here. I'm like, I'm dealing with this right now as best I possibly can. What you saying is nice, and theoretically, yeah, it's correct. But at this moment, I'm just trying to hold it together because I just came to the realization I'm not ordering food for her anymore. And it was just a moment where I was just floored. She had passed away. We knew that, but just in that simple moment of trying to order some food, um, it just kind of took me to a whole different place.
Yes. Oh yes, them triggers, they come out of everywhere. A scent, a meal, a memory, a color. Like I can relate to that for sure. DeQuincy, I want you to speak on the same question. You know, as far as like your support system, how were they with you in your process of grieving? How did you
Well,
deal with your
being so
support system at that time?
being so young, I kind of hid it. Um, we were kind of sent to live with my grandparents, and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and cousins were great, but they really had no idea of what I was going through because, like I kind of like you said you were, I'm a strong one. I'm thick skinned. I
Mm-hmm.
can carry stuff well. And then I went through this phase of just wanting to fit in, just wanting to be part of whatever was going on. So in my chapter, I speak on being a part of the youth group at church, but also a part of the Boys in the Hood when I was in school or away from church. And church did me a lot of good growing up because it gave me a sense of something to, fit in, be a part of that was bigger than me and bigger than what was going on in my life. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was just, like I said, I carried it in secret, and it just started to come out in different ways, like distrusting in relationships and only wanting one thing out of a relationship. So I had a support system technically because my grandparents were always there, and so were my aunts and uncles. But as far as them actually knowing what I was going through and knowing what was in my mind, I kind of carried it around just to myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's understandable. Because that was you were quite young at that time, so that was more of a more childhood trauma that you had to work through. Even though you had your support system there, you knew that they were there. It was more internalized, or you had to navigate that path yourself. So I can relate to that for sure. Um, Now, oh, our time is dwindling down, but I got so many more questions for y'all. So I'm gonna take this question here because I really want to talk about this. I want to word it correctly. So, with what advice would you give other men who are struggling with grief but don't know how to express it? Um, what advice would you give them, Damon, as far as
Okay.
of how to process their grief? You got it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Got it. And we talked about this a little on the last interview. Um, one of the things that has come out from this is that I also I counsel. Now I'm not licensed or anything like that, but just taking the experience that I've had, I've kind of connected with like 5 different brothers that have gone through something similar, and just sharing my story, and also being there for them as they go through their process with them losing their wives and going through the grief process and everything like that. And because of that, I came up, and this again just off personal experience, came up with 4 basic things for, and this is really for anybody, but again, I talk a lot of times to men about this. It's going to be
Mhm.
number one, and Quincy, he mentioned it earlier. He mentioned it in our last interview. It's okay not to be okay. It might sound cliche or whatever, but it is okay to not be okay. Unfortunately, society makes us think that we got to be strong and big and bad and stuff like that, and we're not allowed to have emotions. We're not allowed to have to grieve. We're not allowed to do this because we got to carry the world on our shoulders. It is okay to not be okay. Okay. So that's usually the first thing. The second thing I would normally tell somebody is to don't let somebody tell you what your process should be. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes, and I don't think it's out of malice or anything like that. Sometimes you have people who will say, "Oh, I thought you were over that by now. Oh, I thought you were this." Or they say, "Oh, you should be past this." Your process is your process. So don't let anybody tell you what your process is. Their process with grief can be something completely different than your process with grief. Everybody's snowflakes. Nobody is going to be the exact same thing. So that's number 2. Number 3, and sometimes I look at this as contradictory, but it's not. Go through the process. Now, again, telling people not to tell people uh what your process, I mean, how to go through, but you have to go through the process. And one of the things I was blessed with also, I received counseling in my process. And I had a male counselor, and he kind of gave me an example where grief especially goes in waves. One minute you think you're good, everything's great, no problems, and then the next minute it just hits you and you're just wiped out. But he said, if you really think about it, he's like, think of a beach and how waves come into a beach. Now, if you're going out into the water, the waves come at you, and as you go out further and further, usually the waves hit you harder and harder and harder. That's you going against the grief process, versus if you're facing the actual beach itself and you're letting the waves push you further in, it helps the grief process go. So I say that again, you don't want to go against the grief process, because all you're going to do is keep on getting hit with waves, and a lot of times in getting hit in those waves, what happens, you get sucked under and you drown. So that's number 3. And number 4, don't be afraid to accept help from family members and friends. Again, a lot of times we're told, uh, well, society standard is, we're strong, we're these islands, we should be. Don't be afraid to take help from people, even if it's some plates from your auntie, and hey, Will, we might need to talk because I got family members in Richmond. That's where my family is originally from. So we might need to talk. I might need to come out for a family reunion myself. But something as simple as a meal, something as simple for me with my son, being able to have a friend say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna come grab Gideon just so you can have a moment to yourself." You know, don't be afraid to accept help from people, uh, and don't, because again, a lot of times we try to hold everything in. A lot of times we try to carry everything, and especially in that particular situation, you can't. So those would be that's normally the four things I would tell anybody going through a grief process, but especially men.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Now, this was actually a two-part question um that I had, but I'm gonna let each of the other guys speak on this particular question here. And then I'm sorry, I gotta keep y'all at least 5 minutes more longer because I gotta ask this other part of this question, okay?
Cool.
So the question, we're gonna start with you with the question that I asked Damon of how, what advice would you give other men with struggling with grief and, how to express it?
Um, I would say first we have to recognize the grief. Recognize that you're hurting, recognize that you're not okay. Um, and then find an outlet or a medium to express yourself in a way that you're comfortable. Like for me,
Mhm.
the pen and the pad, I write poetry. I love to
Mhm.
fish. So get yourself in a place where you're comfortable so that you can become vulnerable enough to ask for help. Because there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable as a man. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need help. I need somebody to talk to. I need to release this energy that I have. So I would say get comfortable being vulnerable, figure out who you are and who your identify your support system, people who aren't gonna talk about you or spread your business and go to them for help. Because again, it's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay not to stay that way. Because one thing that we have to remember and realize, and I speak about this in my chapter, hurt people. And
Oh,
a man who
yes.
doesn't deal with grief is just like a wounded lion. It's gonna be a time where there's gonna be some backlash or a lash out because of the wounds you're carrying. So get comfortable not with the grief, but as Damon said, having to go through the process and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. I love that. You almost started a whole rabbit hole when you said that. Hurt people hurt people. So so yeah, you spoke a mouthful with that for sure. Well, Will, I want you to speak on the same question as the other guys have addressed. And then like I said, I still have that one more question for y'all. I know we at our hour mark, but this has been a great conversation. And I ain't ready to let y'all go yet, okay? So Will, you got the flow.
Um, well, I'll tell any guy, any man or a woman that's going through anything, if you got if you don't know how to express your feelings, if you don't know, what to say, if you got that one person, that one ride or die friend, that friend that always been there, if you got that one person, just talk to that one person. See, me, I didn't have my one person, so I didn't have that didn't cling on to. You know what I'm saying? He was that was my partner. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? It's like we was cousins, but I don't know. I think God gave him to me because I always wanted a little brother, and I think he was the best thing God gave to me, him. So it was like he was the little brother I never got. So, but I didn't have him there with me, so I had to do it alone. But if a person go through it and they got a friend that they ride with like that, I don't care if it's a girlfriend or one of their little homies or whatever, you got somebody. If you ain't got to tell everybody, if you can just talk to that one person, that one person that can ride with you and help you through it, that'll work. If you don't know how to talk or express yourself, sometimes just write it down. You know, I'll tell people write it down because I wish I would have wrote it down a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't. So write it down and just write how you feel and give it to your mom or your sister or your brother or your cousin or your uncle or aunt or somebody, a teacher or a pastor or somebody that can help you, because just riding it ain't gonna help. Drinking alcohol, I know that ain't gonna help. Smoking weed, that ain't gonna help. Cause soon as you come down off of it, it's gonna be right there waiting for you to feel it again. So it ain't gonna help. None of that's gonna help. You gotta work on it. You gotta talk about it. You gotta come out of that phase because it's gonna grip you. And it's hard. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy to get over. It's not gonna ever leave you. But if you talk about it, it get more, you get more relaxed with it. You don't let it burden you down like it used to. You know what I'm saying? You start smiling when you talk about the person or the things in the past. And if you do cry, it's a good cry because it's joy, because you know that you're better at it. At first you couldn't talk about it. Now you're talking about it. Even though you're crying, you can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to roll with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell a person that if they're going through it and you see yourself in this zone, God will give you time to mourn and go through all that. But you got to keep your eye open because he gonna give you, like he say, always open the door to give you a way out of a situation. So when you see that door open, no matter what it is, take that step through it because that's your answer. You know what I'm saying? God opened the door. You just got to step out the door, and because all I did was step out the front door, and that was it. I was on my road to getting better. You know what I'm saying? To coming out that funk. It was still hard, even though once I came out of that and started getting out and back outside and doing things and going to church, getting back into church, I still was struggling. I still was doing the same things. I just didn't know, because I was like, all right, I'm back in church, but is this really going to help me? I mean, you got me here. What is we going to do? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, next thing I know, slowly but surely he took everything, started slipping away from me, like out of my mouth, like the taste of alcohol. I was got the taste where I was like, nah, I don't really want that no more. Cigarettes, can't smoke them no more. Weed, couldn't smoke that no more. You know what I'm saying? Drugs, couldn't do none of them no more. It won't none right no more. So it was like, what now? You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, and then started noticing that when I started noticing, I was like, that's weird. I don't need this stuff. I said, maybe I never needed it, or did I? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know. It was like, he just worked it out of me where it's just like, all right, since I know you, I guess God figured like you kind of like doubted me because you felt like, why did I let this happen and all this? And I did. I wondered it. And I still may never know why, but I just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is God planned, it's his plan. I can't rock with that. You know what I'm saying? I can't change it. And I can't question God or his abilities or what he do. So I just make it through life the best way I know how, and just knowing that he guided me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? He taking me somewhere. I just got to keep walking forward, figure out and see what the end going to be. That's all I can do. So if a person going through it, man, I just talk to one person. You ain't got to talk to everybody. Just talk to one. That one person will help you get through a whole lot that you're going through. That's my best advice I can give.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, all you need
one for sure. Yeah. And I like you, like yes, for sure. My person, I lost my person in the midst of all of this. So like I actually lost my person first, my best friend. And then it was just a cycle of back to back to back to back. When I tell you I ain't in a straitjacket, it ain't nobody but the grace of God. So I can relate to you wholeheartedly on that. But in the midst of me losing my person, through my healing process, God started to place people in my life. And like you, I got Angela, and then I got Kelly, and then I got Keisha, like, and he surrounded me with a whole group of new people that I could be vulnerable with. And Jazz, and and these women were on different levels. It wasn't a trauma bonding thing. These was women who, they may not have experienced what I went through, but they were showing me other avenues to deal with my grief. You get what I'm saying? So it was phenomenal. But I left this question up because it actually ties into my final question for you guys. And thank you for your question, Eddie. But we are actually getting ready to tap into this right now. I wanted to ask the question of what societal changes do you believe are necessary to create more supportive spaces for men to be open with their grief, to openly grieve? So we just gonna throw the ball up, and whoever want to take the question first, go for what you know.
I think society, first of all, has to be more open to emotionally intelligent men. Men who can deal with their emotions and not be afraid to be vulnerable, not be afraid to cry if needed, to vent to somebody. Like Will said, men that are not afraid to find that one person to talk to and say, "Hey, I need to get this off my chest."
Yep.
I think once society becomes open to men like that, you'll see men begin to not just release the grief, but step up and take our place as leaders in society.
Okay.
I agree with you on that because emotional intelligence is very necessary, especially in today's world, especially with the technology and how shallow a lot of people can be. And so I feel like it has, in my opinion, from a woman's perspective, we've seen a lot of men go into those hermit modes, or those tunnels, and shut themselves off as far as emotionally. You get the hard, but that's all you getting. And it's pouring over into relationships, it's pouring over into households, it's pouring over into parenting relationships, and it has really become detrimental to our community, especially in the Black community. So that was my reasoning behind this question, because I feel like we do need to find some avenues for men to be more open to grieving. But you made a great point with that, DeQuincy, that we gotta first start with being a little more emotionally intelligent. So thank you for that. Damon, before you slide out of here, because I know you ready to go, but before you slide out of here, can you answer that question for me, please? What do you feel would be more? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. How do I say this? Okay. As I said before, I am a Christian, and
Mhm.
I believe that men have to be uh, the prototype, meaning we have to show that we can do that. I think, and the reason why I say this is that, again, with me saying I'm a Christian, Jesus for me was the prototype. It says that the word was came. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the scripture, but it says the word was God, and the word was made flesh and walked among us. And I say that was describing Jesus. Jesus was the prototype. During that time frame, everybody talked about, oh, the law is hard, the law is hard, the law is hard, the law is hard, the law is hard. Well, what God did, he sent his son to prove that the law is not that hard. He sent his son as the prototype. He sent his son to prove that his word could be walked out in flesh. That's the reason. That's one of the main reasons why Jesus came. So when you have that, I say that as a man, we have to accept our role in being the prototype. We have to show that it is okay for us to be emotional, to be able to grieve. We have to be able to shake society's standards off of us because we all see what society standards do. Society standards cause men to act out. They cause men to not be able to go through conflict resolution. Society standards do not do anything for men, especially Black men. So for us, the way I look at it, we within ourselves have to say, okay, enough is enough. We have to show it. All these, you have the youth is out here and the trends. It was always one person who starts these TikTok trends and all these dances and craziness. My son does them himself. There's always that one. We have to be that one because that one made it acceptable for everybody else to do it. That one made it acceptable to do these little dances and stuff like that. That one person who stepped out and said, okay, I'm going to do this and I don't care what other people say, made it acceptable for everybody else to follow in their footsteps. So what needs to happen, we can't wait for society to say it's okay. We have to make it okay. That we live in such a follow society now that it should be okay for us to step out and say, you know what, I'm going to be okay with grieving. I'm going to be okay with walking through this process, and I'm never going to let anybody tell me how to do it, how I should feel, and if y'all don't like it, I don't care. Because I'm going to step out like these little TikTok dancers or whatever, and I'm going to grieve the way I need to grieve, and y'all just going to have to deal with it. So to me, it's strictly on us. We got to shake society standards.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That is a great point. Be that one, like Angela said, but for sure, because you guys did just that with this anthology. Y'all did just that with this anthology. Y'all stepped out. Y'all are the prototype. So congratulations. And I'm just grateful to even be able to say I interviewed y'all. Yes. So, Will, I'm gonna let you chime in and then I'm gonna wrap it up. I know y'all want to enjoy y'all night. Everybody, got other plans, but I am just grateful to be able to have this moment with you all. I will get the link. Angela dropped the link for the book for them to purchase the book, or if you guys want to drop your links in the comments for them to be able to get your book, please do so. After Will speak, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to, wrap this thing up. But I just want to thank you all. I greatly, greatly appreciate you all for coming on my platform tonight. So Will, go ahead and give us, your opinion on this, and then we're going to wrap everything up, okay?
Well, I don't know. It's a lot of different ways a person can dictate this or adjust to it. Like there'll be people that's gonna be, hesitant to even trust in what we telling them or thinking they know a better way or thinking that, oh man, I ain't gotta worry about that. I'm good. But are you really? You know what I'm saying? I bet you there's guys that's sitting around right now or females that done lost somebody or that went through something and they never really let it all out yet. You know what I'm saying? Because they was trying to hold up this persona, this what people saw in society and what they see on Facebook, so they want to keep up appearances and know that nothing don't get to them. You know what I'm saying? Sooner or later, that wall gonna crash and it's gonna crash and it's gonna take you out. So if you don't tell somebody, you're gonna fall sooner or later. We all had to fall. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus said, all knees shall bow, all tongue must confess. So you're gonna have to confess to somebody what you're going through, what you're feeling. You know, you're gonna have to talk to somebody, get it out some type of way. I held it in for a long time. If it weren't for this book, I probably would have held on to this for a little bit longer and kept this stuff inside and never talked about it. So sometimes it's get an opportunity to let it out. Get it off your chest. Share it with somebody else. Give it to God if you got to, but don't hold it in. It's not gonna work. A lot of people, they be asking, and I think a lot of people ask me when I see them, they ask me, "Oh man, I hear about the book." And I think some of them I ask, like a lot of my exes, they'll ask, "Oh yeah, about the book," but I think they in the book. I think that's what it is, but they don't realize it ain't about it ain't about you. It ain't no book about just me. You know what I'm saying? They think it's like me telling my whole life story or something. They got a part in it. Nah, it ain't even like that. And I think they want to get the book just to see if they in it. But I thank you, but no, you're not. It ain't that type of book. It's about men, about what men go through, what their feelings and sharing it and letting out and talking about things that we normally don't even express, or it's uncommon to even think about talking about. Most of the time when you're younger, you try to say something like that involves your feelings. What happens? People are like, man, you don't get out of that little soft stuff, man. Look, man, we ain't got time for that, man. Don't be no punk around here. We ain't got time for that whining. You know what I'm saying? That's what you get. But now you just got to take it as.
And that started as a child. That conditioning started with as y'all being young boys. With parents. What you doing all that crying for? Sit down somewhere. That conditioning started so young and early on. But when I tell you these women are going crazy in the chat about y'all and expressing your feelings and just being vulnerable, like y'all have opened up a gateway tonight, and I'm just grateful to be able to be the platform that you guys spoke on. This here is what it's all about. Is her name Carolyn Stevens? She said that I believe society as a whole has become conditioned to believe that men are emotionally unavailable. I believe that men want to be more emotional available, so we as society should be more receptive of men expressing themselves openly and authentically and still respect them as the kings that they are. That's what it's all about right there, Carolyn. That's it. That's all. Yes. I like that. Yes. So
I love that.
I will talk to y'all all night. That goes back to what Damon said. We ain't even worry about society no more. Y'all created the blueprint. Y'all are the foundation. And y'all are the prototype. That's it. That's all. Now I want my play wheel.
Hey, look. I'm gonna tell you like this. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this. My birthday.
You related to some Winfrey's? That's all I need to know.
My birthday coming up next month. Okay. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with my birthday, but I do know that I'm gonna have to hit up my auntie and see if she can whip up something. If you in the VA area, I guarantee you, I will promise you that plate. But I'm gonna see what auntie can get whipped up for me for my birthday.
Hey, Will, you related to some Winfrey's?
Winfrey's? No. Yeah. So Winfields. Okay. I know Winfrey's.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm related to some Winfrey's, but we down south. We on down here in Tennessee. But look, Will, I got some travel partners in this group. They like, let's do it, VA. So we finna look for these flights because we come to check out auntie food. And
hey, I hear you. I definitely gonna let her know that I got some folks wanting to come from Tennessee to come get a plate of that food. And believe me,
Trying to
you
tell
ain't gonna be
you.
disappointed when you get it. I can tell you that right now. I bet
Yes.
anything on that. I guarantee you. Anything.
Well,
I put it on
it
auntie.
has truly been a wonderful night speaking with you guys. I'd like to take a moment on my platform to let you give your flowers to someone that's special in your life. I believe in giving flowers while they're still here to accept flowers. So I'm gonna pull
Mhm.
all of us out, and I'm gonna start with the Quincy, and we're gonna go one by one. I'm gonna let y'all get y'all flowers to who y'all want, and then we're gonna take you out for the night. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with you, the Quincy.
Okay. I had to give my flowers to my daughters. Um, Going through the LVAD process that we talked about earlier, they were there every step of the way. Even when it looked bleak, they stepped up. So my support team now is my daughters. I love them. They're grown now. We've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly. But yeah, all love to my baby girls.
Oh, hello. Okay. Um, as far as flowers go, I mean, it's so many people that assisted us through our process. But um, what I will say, and I've said this many times, and I hate to kind of steal some of DeQuincy's thunder, but probably some of my biggest flowers I would give to my son, Gideon, just for a simple fact that he handled and he continues to handle the loss of his mom better than many grown people that I know. Like the day my mom leaves this earth, I probably know. I mean, it's not even probably. I know I'll be in the corner probably sucking my thumb. Okay, um, but he has handled the loss of his mom so great, and I'm not saying he's been perfect, but the fact that he still can smile, the fact that he still cracks jokes, the fact that he has his moments where he processes through and he allows himself to cry, and then he's like, okay, it's time to get uh I will say the maturity that he has shown throughout this process. He's my hero, and I've said this to him, and I've said this to many people. He's not perfect, but as far as getting through this process, he has definitely been my hero. So I give it to my son.
Oh yeah. Well, I like to give flowers to my children for just being there for dad, just always, no matter what, accepting me for even through my bad times, even through moments when I wasn't as strong as I supposed to been. To them, growing up, I guess I looked like, nothing could hurt dad. Dad was the big guy, the strong guy. But I had to show them that even heroes, you know, sometimes have a kryptonite too, just like Superman. And but I give them their flowers just for their dedication and commitment to me, and just letting me be dad and never looking down on me as being dad. I want to give flowers to my mother because for years she always been a rock, and I knew it hurt her that at that moment when I was going through the most hardest thing of my life, she couldn't be a part of it, and she couldn't help me, and she couldn't, ease my pain. So I know that hurt her a lot, but you know, this is something that I don't think that she was equipped to get me through. I think it was a whole different way God wanted to take me on this one. And, I want to give flowers to my son that I lost Tyree. You know, even though he's lost, his memory is always here. But if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would ever. None of this would ever happen. So I'm thankful that I was. That's why I give flowers to Angela Lewis and to you for giving us the opportunity to do this and to be a part of it and to put us on y'all platforms to share with people what we went through and how we feel about a lot of things and just to express our feelings, something that we wasn't used to doing, but we had done it. And now it's like we just got to keep moving forward with it, keep putting the word out there. And like I said, as long as I reach one person, I think God it worked out the way God wanted it to if I can reach one person. So I thank you and God bless you and look forward to meeting you at the family cookout or even at the birthday. But I'm gonna get you that plate. I promise you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank you guys so much. And Angela, thank you, sis. The vision, God dropped the vision in my spirit, but you guys made the vision plain. So my head is off to y'all. So congratulations. But it has been an amazing night. This has been the City of Hearts, where we deep dive into real conversations. We discuss raw emotions and we overcome together. So I'm gonna tell all of y'all good night. Goodbye. Good
Good night.
night. Have a good one.
Have a blessed one. See you guys.
Absolutely. Hey guys. And if you guys can stick around for just a hot second, I'd like to speak with y'all behind the scenes.